So which of these views have judges ruled as worthy of protection in the workplace? The answer is environmental views.
First, and I think this is quite a tricky concept, if you were a judge, would you put anti-hunt views on a par with religious views? If Christians, Muslims, Jews, Rastafari deserve legal protection from discrimination, does someone who hates hunting deserve the same protection? Because yesterday, a former garden centre worker, Joe Hashman, won the right to sue his former employers for discrimination. He claims he was sacked the day after his pro-hunting bosses found out he was a leading anti-hunt activist, though for their part his former employers say he was fired because his vegetable patch wasn't making enough money. Anyway, that's up for a later court to decide. The judge said yesterday that Hashman's anti-hunt views amounted to a fervent belief in the sanctity of life, and according to the judge, such a view is equivalent to a philosophical belief, and therefore should be protected under Employment Equality, brackets, religion or belief, close brackets, regulations 2003. Which means that Hashman can go ahead and sue his bosses for unfair dismissal. Doesn't mean he'll win, though. Does any of this surprise you? Does this mean that anyone with a strongly held view deserves some protection under anti-discrimination laws? I'm trying to think of other groups it might apply to. Vegans, perhaps? Squatters, OK? You work with someone, your boss discovers they're a squatter, they get fired. Would they deserve some kind of right? Have they been discriminated against? Fans of Justin Bieber? No, let's not think about those. Are these examples as worthy as those with strong religious views of protection? Not that the courts, of course, have been particularly kind to believers of late. Christians Eunice and Owen Johns banned from fostering kids because they believe the Bible forbids them from teaching kids it's OK to be gay. And, of course, there were the B&B owners, Hazel Mary and Peter Bull, fined for refusing to let a gay couple share a bed. As they said, that contravened their beliefs. Janet?
Context is all, really, isn't it? I mean, we were talking in the break about soldiers who fundamentally don't want to fight on Sundays, and my answer to that is you're a soldier, you fight when you're told, and you follow orders. Even if you think those orders are wrong, that is your role as a soldier. I'm very puzzled about this one, though, because...
Although interesting, there was a case, 2 soldiers in 2003, if I recall right, who, having got to Iraq, objected to... Well, they said they objected to the nature of the war, and the army chose not to court-martial them, which they could have done. And, of course, if they had, could you then argue that that passionate view that the war was wrong was deserving of
in
protection?
the army after
I don't
that?
know, I can't remember.
Because they can't have been terribly popular,
No.
I think. No, I do think context is all, and it is very puzzling. I know we're talking about beliefs and whether or not they should be ring-fenced, but I also think it's very odd that this chap has chosen that as his platform, really, because presumably in a small company, if you hold beliefs which are fundamentally, diametrically opposite to the people you're working with, why would you want to be there?
Well, you might not see the bosses who own the garden centre or whatever, because you're just a lowly grunt doing your thing.
You might not, but equally, you know, if those are your beliefs and you discover that, again, your beliefs are fundamentally... You know, if I worked with somebody I discovered was fundamentally homophobic, I would not be comfortable in their company, I would take my employee elsewhere. So I know this is now going to be used as his beliefs versus, but just to make it very small and personal, I find it odd that he'd want to carry on, and it's not surprising, therefore, that he's suing them. But whether or not your beliefs are something...
Well, he's been allowed to sue them because, you know, this is the critical thing. The judge has said, if you strongly believe in something and you believe that your bosses or whatever have got rid of you before it, or maybe your landlord has kicked you out for it, that you've got a case to bring.
I hope the judge wasn't just passing the buck on a difficulty. No, of course not. But I do think it's interesting because I think beliefs are something by which people live. Most of the time, they're instructive.
Are beliefs the same as religion? If you have a strongly held belief, is that the same as religion? A religious belief?
I suppose it is.
OK.
Yes,
okay.
I suppose it
is.
is.
Let's run with that.
Yep.
Is it the same, Levi, to you? Someone really believes something strongly? That the world's going to end tomorrow? Is that as strong a belief as someone who believes that Christ is going to come again?
I agree. I think whatever people believe strongly in, I don't think it's to be protected. I think it's to be protected by the individual, but not by the system. But I think respected is the right way to put it. I really believe that people's way of life, their beliefs, their religious beliefs, they should be respected by...
Well, religious beliefs are protected by law, but other beliefs might not necessarily be protected by law. And as I said, I mean, I'm thinking of people like squatters. I can understand why a boss may be outraged to find out that one of his employees is a squatter, sacks him the next day, and that person, should they then be able to bring a case and say, well, actually, I'm a passionate believer in free housing. I passionately believe that people that landlords
Living in
leave
someone else's
houses
house?
empty.
You wouldn't.
I'm passionately living in someone else's house.
Well, if that person has ignored the fact that, you know, say, left a house empty for 20 years, gone to
Prince
rack and
Andrews,
ruin, bringing down an area...
Property is theft. But you wouldn't presumably sack them because of that view, would you?
Well, you would then say, I sacked them because their vegetable patch wasn't making enough money, which is what they've done in this case
Very
here.
constructive, that is, isn't it? Yeah. No, but I think you're right. It has to be protected because that is a belief, and it's substantiated by, in as much as you can't prove religion either.
Ah, OK, OK. Dominic?
Well, I think what we can all agree on is it really is a great time to be a lawyer because the number of laws... These for me, are all soppy laws.
What, protecting people from discrimination?
Yeah, because I'm a Catholic. I don't feel I need any protection from any law because if someone insulted me, I wouldn't bother about it. It wouldn't really particularly bother me.
What if though, you were subjected to, anti-Catholic abuse, your house was burnt down,
that's violent,
your wife was burnt at the stake,
hang on. Well,
you'd have your head cut off. That's all of the things that have happened in this country.
OK, well, if someone burnt my house down, that would be arson. If someone killed my wife, that would be murder.
Yeah, but
and
it used to be...
laws,
Dominic, it used to be... If you were a Catholic, that's what happened to you, or could happen to you in this country. And you could argue that the fact that doesn't happen to you today is because we have anti-discrimination laws.
If you actually did a snapshot of the laws going through the courts at the moment on discriminating against Catholics laws, it would be, I would say, there'd be few of them.
Well, it's because they're already in. They're on the statute books. I've cited you one of them.
People aren't using the law, though, are they? I wouldn't use the law. If you accuse me of being an idiot Catholic, I wouldn't bother. It would just be an insult and let it go. So my point is that these laws are all sort of, I think, modern-day laws. They're incredibly expensive to police. There's vagaries, there's lots of grey areas.
Let's go back to Mr Hashman's case,
well,
right? Without prejudicing any subsequent case, if a bloke, let's just say his bosses did fire him, and I'm not suggesting this is the case, but if his bosses did fire him because they found out he was anti-Hunt and they were pro-Hunt, do you think he should be able to bring a case and have his day in court, get his job back? Or get 50 grand compensation, which is what he's
in
after.
answer to that, I think yes. But,
OK, so you are in favour of discrimination laws.
My instincts would be, though, I wouldn't make any hard-felt belief a religion. You know? Like, so, for example, squatting... But I would say that the boss, if he did sack his employee for having a different opinion to him on an issue, is a deficient boss and should therefore...
But isn't the point here that his views may lead him into the sort of trouble which would make him an unsafe employee? If he's active as an anti-Hunt saboteur, that's an illegal occupation.
No, it isn't an illegal operation. You can object to hunts as long as you like. What you're not allowed to do is post bombs to people and things like that.
Yeah.
It's perfectly legal to be an anti-Hunt person, to put down fake scents and stuff like that. It's perfectly fine.
I suppose, yeah.
You know?
Yes, he's on a sticky wicket, really.
Well, it is fascinating. Let's throw it open to you, see if you can help us see the wood for the trees here. Do those with strongly held beliefs of a non-religious persuasion deserve the same protection under law from discrimination as those that believe in various good books? Kirsty.
OK, we have Catherine first on line 3.
Morning, Catherine.
Morning, Matthew.
So, go on then, what's your take on this then?
Well, I'm actually a hunt monitor.
OK.
And what I actually do, because obviously you know that there was a Hunting Act, 2004,
yeah.
and nobody is policing the Hunting Act except volunteer hunt monitors.
Right.
Now, I believe that our views are to do with ethics, morals, kindness against violence and aggression, and we believe in kindness and compassion, and that extends to all sentient beings, and we believe that people who find fun chasing wild animals to the point of exhaustion is deplorable.
Surely curb hideous vermin to protect our natural way of life would be the alternative view, which we would also have to respect, would we not, Catherine?
Well, actually, that is a myth, because the animals control their own environment due to the food source.
Yeah.
And anyway, you know, there are humane ways of dealing with problems. It isn't ethical for people to go out on a Wednesday or a Saturday.
Yeah. Catherine, you're talking about hunting. I want to talk about whether or not views are worthy of protection under the law.
Yes,
you
because
clearly think they are.
they are very similar to religious views. They are to do with ethics and morals and decent standards of living. Now, what's the definition of a religion?
I don't know. Do you think squatters should therefore have the same protection if someone believes fervently in that it is a crime for good housing to go to waste when people are homeless, and that they work within the community to occupy homes and provide roofs over the head for people that might not be able to afford them either privately or get a council flat? Do you believe that they should deserve the same protection under the law?
No, I don't, because then they're interfering with people's rights. It isn't the
Well,
right
you're interfering with people's rights, Catherine. You're interfering with the rights of people to hunt without dogs.
Yeah, but we don't have a right to kill and be cruel to other species.
Well,
That
so
is
you
not
say.
a right
Hang on.
to
So
human
you say, Catherine. There's no law to say that.
There is a law to say that.
Yes,
it's just the law's not being upheld because the law needs time.
The law bans hunting with dogs.
The law supposedly does. The law.
Yeah, but there's lots of other forms of hunting.
The
You
law
can
needs
go out and kill
tightening at the
things all
moment.
day long. You can go and kill things all day long.
I'm sorry?
You can go and kill things all day long.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
You can kill things all
Well,
day
you can't
long.
actually, because there is an Animal Welfare Act, and people can do things unless they get challenged, and that's what we're out there doing, challenging them.
With the greatest respect, I can go and catch trout all day long and bash them over the head and cook them, which I do to my heart's content, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's no law about it.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Oh, I know you. Yeah, do you know what, Catherine? I don't think you ever will. Thank you for the call. Let's have another.
OK, we have John next on line 2.
John, good morning.
Good morning, Matthew.
Good morning.
Oh, dear, you do get into some state.
Well, keeps me off the streets, John.
It does indeed. We love your programme. We very rarely agree with you.
OK, well, that's great, because I love the fact that people don't agree, because that makes it all the more fun. Yeah. What don't you agree with me today?
Right. I think the person has a perfect right to disagree with hunting.
Right.
I think he was unfairly sacked unless it was a groom in a hunt stable. If you disagree with, if you're a pacifist, you wouldn't go and work for an arms manufacturer. And so he has a good right to take his case to court and get some redemption for it.
Wow, that's
sounds suspiciously like we might be agreeing here, John.
I love the morality that should a pacifist work for an arms manufacturer? That's a really interesting.
Well, how about this? How about
dilemma.
the pacifist that works for a metal foundry where the metal is then used by a gun manufacturer? That you can actually see as that could happen.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm fascinated by the idea of soldiers that are fully committed to fighting the enemy, but when they get to a certain battleground, find the whole proposition of the conflict that's put to them so appalling and unsavoury that they won't fight. I mean, I kind of feel that almost commands respect.
But as the caller said, and I certainly agree with him, the unfair dismissal charge, does that have to be dealt with under the auspices of this anti-discrimination?
Yes, because the charge so he's going to go to court, or could go to court now against his employers under the, I forgot what it's called again, what is it? The
bonkers law.
The Employment Equality (brackets religion or belief) regulations. So the belief bit allows for anybody who has a fervent belief to be protected against discrimination. And in this particular case, that seems to be what's going to happen. He might not win the case,
right? I think
but he's allowed to bring it.
People who will win, though, are the lawyers.
I don't know, actually.
Yeah,
I think if you do have a strongly held belief that this man is fighting on your behalf, this could mean a change in the law. So actually,
again, good for the lawyers. More laws,
it just depends on how. I'm just
Flip.
fascinated as to how wide the net can go.
Absolutely, yes.
And you know, there are lots of cranky people out there that have very strong, I would suggest it sometimes quite bonkers beliefs, but they're really, really strong beliefs.
But if they're not hurtful or harmful, then
need
they
to be
must
protected.
be allowed to be believed. Yeah. Yeah.
OK, that went well. Looking forward to all the animal rights emails and tweets I'll be receiving after the show.
Yeah, from the trout lovers.
Don't you have to get a licence?
If it wasn't a trout fisherman, you wouldn't have any trout in this country, and that's a fact.
You have to get a licence to go fishing, though.
You have to get a licence to go fishing, but she's saying there's laws for
controlled.
it. It is perfectly legal under certain circumstances to hunt. Hunting with dogs is forbidden, and she kept saying, you can't do it, you can't do it, you can't do it. You can.
Yeah, and Catherine's
and she has every right to go out there and demonstrate against.
Yeah, but I think she was trying to say that there are things in place to stop you doing it willy-nilly all over the place and then kill off everything in the
But there should be no obligation for the police to come out and stop people doing something which is a perfectly legal activity. She's taken it upon herself to take the view that it is an illegal activity, and that is not the case. If they were hunting with dogs to tear a fox apart, then the police should be there, and God willing, if she's there, she can call them in and get them involved. But the idea that all hunting is illegal is not true.
No, it's not.
And therefore, why should the police be there to monitor an activity that's perfectly legal? It makes no sense. Let's move on, shall we? After the break, is the census senseless?